This is the November market report for Washtenaw County. And for Washtenaw, as we said in the prior months, Washtenaw continues to be one of the strongest economic beehives in Michigan. And all the economic indicators for the state in general, as well as the county, are good. Unemployment is declining. Employment, which is actually slightly different, is rising. Interest rates are low, and just general GDP and all is looking pretty good. One of the statistics we saw, a chart that was a survey of homeowners, and they showed that 23% of those homeowners were looking for an opportunity to sell, which is an interesting statistic because we're trying to judge, as the market recovers, just how much pent-up demand is left in the marketplace. Certainly in 2012, 13, and 14, we saw the release of pent-up demand from the recession. We're just wondering how much is left. This chart gives us a little bit of indication in that typically 7 to 12% of homeowners sell their home. That's the turnover every year. So the fact that 23% would like to do it, that tells us that that's 10% or so gap are people that will want to sell their homes, looking to do it when the opportunity arises. So it's sort of like our extra candy in the pocket. We know that we have it to use later in the ensuing years, and probably that extra 10% will be released as extra activity in the next 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months. So even if the economy settles a little bit, we sort of have that in our pocket. What we looked at by market segment, if you break the market down into price ranges for Washtenaw, the 0 to 250 range, the under $250,000 market, home sales have actually, they were up through July, which is nice to see, but actually in the last 90 days they've declined, and as have inventories. So the best explanation for that is buyers simply can't find homes to purchase, so they're just not buying. If there's nothing to buy, if there's no logs in the fire, as we said before, there's no fire. So we think, at least for the under 250 range, that's a happy dance for sellers, not so much for buyers. They're frustrated, but the good news is values are continuing to rise in that price range, and in markets like Ypsilanti and other markets, we're seeing values jump up very nicely because sort of an excess demand spillover for those more affordable markets, and that's helping the overall Washtenaw housing market in general. For the $250,000 to $500,000 market price, those sales are holding up pretty well as well for the last 90 days compared to the prior year, up about 9.5%, 10%. That's a slowdown a little bit from the first 7 months of the year, but still some strong numbers. Inventories are rising as well, so that price range, that 250 to 500, is really sort of prime and move up price range. So what we're probably seeing there is, although inventories are rising, we're sort of seeing that balance of sellers are looking to sell, but they want to be able to buy. So as inventories rise, we're going to release that some more listing inventory, and sort of stair steps up in the marketplace. The good news is that a significant share in that price range of sellers are also buyers, so they're creating their own demand when they sell. So we think that will balance out in the marketplace, and although there might be a slowing now where sales are rising at a slower pace, inventories are rising at a faster pace, the good news is that sales are still rising and activity is still strong in that price range. You go over $500,000 and up, we're actually very surprised at the activity in that price range as well. Up until July, sales were up dramatically, like 30% over last year. The last 90 days, they've settled down considerably. Still up over last year, about 9%, but you can see a dramatic shift in slowing down of that activity level. Inventories also have risen in that same period of time. And inventories in the upper price range have been rising for a while in Washtenaw County, really going on more than a year. So that's having an impact on that market price range, and we're seeing values settle, and in fact in some areas actually values starting to decline a little bit as inventories get way ahead of sales. And it is sort of that strange market. In fact, what we're really going through right now is a market correction, a market change. And when markets change directions, they slow down a little bit before they pick up in the other direction. And we think we're transitioning from really strong seller's market to a more balanced market. Certainly, depending on the price range, it may be a seller's balanced market or just a balanced market. We're probably not shifting to a buyer's side of that just yet. But in that shift, it gives sort of mixed signals. Sales continue to rise, and inventories also rise at the same time, so you get sort of a mixed signal there. And what that really does is that, again, it slows the market down, appreciation rates settle a little bit, there's more plentiful choices for buyers, so it's still a great time. It's sort of that strange perfect storm where it's a great time to sell and a great time to buy. On the seller side, it's great because there's still demand out there, buyers are still out there, more this year than last, in really all price ranges. So you have that activity, values are still rising, so you have the equity being built up. And on the buy side, values are just now getting back to peak levels, so there's still reasonable prices, rates are low, and inventories are rising. You have more to choose from. So we have a nice balance to benefit both buyers and sellers right now. So it isn't, change in the market isn't bad news, it's just different news. And it just means that buyers and sellers need to reset their expectations a little bit. Sellers, things will take a little bit longer to sell, values won't be rising as fast. In some cases you might even be able to sell, at least now, between now and next spring, maybe not as much as last year, but still all very good news. And again, we're always comparing to the last year, 2 years where we had crazy activity. If we compare ourselves to a 10-year or 20-year average, we're in a really, really good real estate market in Washtenaw County. So good luck. Thanks.